Coming up, I'll reveal the easiest path to self-employment in 2023, and then we're going to break down the tech industry layoffs, but there's some good news there. No need to panic, and I'm going to coach you up. Let's go. Helping you win at work and in life by seeing and meeting your potential. This is the Ken Coleman Show. I'm him. Let's get into this. So, interesting data. 70% of Americans desire to be self-employed, but only 6% are. Now, I don't know if that surprises anybody when you hear that. I remember when I was first talking to Alex about it, we were looking at this data, and I was surprised. I would have probably guessed 15% if I was thoughtful. If I wasn't thoughtful, I probably would have thrown out a number like 20. I think that's too high. But, if I'm just kind of spitballing, that's what I would have thought. 6% of Americans are self-employed, but 70% want to be self-employed. Now, in a previous show, I dove into this gap. And I did a deep dive on it. I wish I knew the name of the show or the title of the show, but you can find it. But it bears just a bit of a reset before I walk into 3 specific actions that I want you to take, that you need to take if you want to be self-employed in 2023. Here's the reset, the context. For this gap between 70% of Americans want to be self-employed, only 6% are. And the reason that there's such a huge gap is because of fear and doubt. Fear is worry that something bad is going to happen. Doubt is not believing that something good can happen. It's very important that we understand that, because these are the 2 biggest enemies, villains of progress. And I think sometimes many of you who are watching or listening today, maybe you thought fear and doubt were kind of the same thing. They're not. Very different. Fear is, I'm worried that something bad is going to happen. Doubt is, I don't believe that something good can happen. So the gap is largely because of fear and doubt. There's probably one other major reason. It would be financial reasons as to why 70% of Americans want to be self-employed, only 6% are. Fear and doubt probably gets most of it, because I don't think that many financial situations are, in fact, the hindrance that they should be in their minds. I don't think it's like, you can get through that. And it, again, falls into fear and doubt. So let's walk through this. 3 things that you need to do to become self-employed in 2023, or at least, shall we say, start the process. I got a brilliant team, and they're always trying to title everything great. I'm going to pull back a little bit and say, you may not do all this in 2023, but if you want to be self-employed, these are the 3 actions that you're going to need to take this year to begin that process. Here we go. Number 1 is ideation. This sounds really duh, but I think a lot of people don't spend the right amount of time on ideation. What do I mean by ideation? That means brainstorming. Truly, creatively engaging your brain in wondering, discovering, asking, observing. These are all action items that fall into ideation. In other words, I got to come up with some solid ideas for my business. Because if you don't have a good idea, I got news for you. You don't have a good business. So ideation. So I'm going to give you very practical stuff here. These are questions that you need to be answering in the ideation process. The first one is, who do you want to help? And I kind of pause for a second, because I think that's what happens with a lot of people when I first throw that question at them, or they ask the question, and you're thinking too hard. If you ask yourself the question, who do I want to help? And all you hear is this, I can tell you, you're thinking, you're not feeling. Because these questions have to come from a place of emotion. They have to come from your heart. Who do I want to help? Ask yourself the question. Keep asking until you learn to turn your brain off and you actually let your heart shoot the answer up to your brain. Who are the people I want to help? In other words, who are the customers that I want to serve? That's where the ideation process starts. Second question is, what is the problem or desire that those people have? Now, this is a follow-up question, because if I've got the answer to the first question, who are the people I want to help, I've already begun to see a profile and I know something about them. And so now I'm just asking a very specific question here. Is it problem-focused or desire-focused? Okay, give you a quick example. Problem-focused person, the person I want to help, if it's problem-focused, well, an example of this would be somebody who's in debt. All right, Dave Ramsey wants to help people get out of debt. So he's focused on a problem. A desire focus could look like, I want to help women feel beautiful. Could be an esthetician, a makeup artist, a hairdresser, fitness coach, nutritionist, whatever. So when we begin to answer the question, who are the people I want to help? Now we just go, okay, I don't want to help them. Is this a problem or is it a desire? And now I've got more clarity. And then I ask the third question, which is, what is the best solution to that problem or desire? Now, that is where we begin to figure out the specificity of the business, because it's solution focused. I got to solve. So be specific and personal, be detailed, and it needs to be doable. Now that leads to the second process, which is selection. Once you've got these ideas, I got to select them. So I want to do some market research. That looks like this. I'm going to look at the field of opportunity out there. Are there a bunch of competitors? Is there a need here where no one's meeting this need? And then I want to look at cost. How much is it going to cost? How long will it take to start? Remember, we're not trying to build it overnight. We just want to start it. I want to look at cost, and that's time and money. How much time is it going to cost me? How much money is it going to cost me? And then the third action item is activation. We got to start. It's a fancy word. Activation just means start. And here's my advice for starting your cell phone business. Start small, grow slow. Let's all say it together. Start small, grow slow. Start small, grow slow. I mean, that's it. And if we could get that in our heads and go, wait a second, because our desire is to start big and grow fast. And it can happen. Some people can do it, but they got to be positioned very, very uniquely. It's a trap for most people. So quick review. What's the path to self-employment? Very simple. 1, ideation. I got to know who I'm serving. 2, selection. Pick the best way to do that. And 3, activation. Just start. That's how you get it off the ground and eventually get it flying. Coming up, we're going to break down the tech industry layoffs in detail. Do you know what you were born to do? In order to get hired at a job you love, you need to get clear on your talent, passion, and mission. That's why our team created the Career Clarity Guide. In just a few minutes, this free tool will walk you through a process to discover what you do best, that's your talent, the work you love to do, that's your passion, and the results that matter to you, your mission. Then you'll feel more confident throughout the job search process. To get started, go to kencoleman.com/clarity. Okay, tech industry layoffs are speeding up. There's going to be a little bit of trend following going on this year. I think in the first quarter we'll see more of this. So I want to break this down because it's actually not really bad news at all. And again, I'm going to have a specific challenge to those of you who think that you'd like to be in tech or know that you want to be in tech, and you're going, I don't know, Ken. I'm seeing lots of news about tech layoffs. Hold. Tech companies across multiple industries saw over 150,000 layoffs in 2022, largely because of rising interest rates and slowing economy. And what they didn't put in this article, which is also true, is that you saw a lot of tech companies, and they say multiple industries. So, for instance, Carvana, it's a tech company, but they're in the car business. That's an interest rate thing and people slowing down. But the reality is we see a lot of tech companies, certainly retail tech companies, consumer product tech companies, this kind of tech delivery, tech buying, all this stuff. They laid people off because of a looming recession. You just have one or two economists go on television and talk about a recession and just watch CEOs go, well, we got to cut. Because they're not about people. They treat people like commodities. They're focused on one thing and one thing only, the stock price. So they'll hire you and they will fire you just as fast. It's about the bottom line. And it's not the bottom line is in the sense of we're profitable. It is how profitable can we be? What's the stock price? And you, my friends, are expendable if you work for public companies like that. You just are. Now, the reality is that 79% of workers recently hired after a tech company layoff or termination landed their new job within 3 months. That's a good sign. So that's less than 90 days. So 79% of tech workers that were recently laid off landed another gig within 3 months. That's pretty good. This really speaks to what I've been saying for many, many years. You need to have an exit strategy at all times. When you go on an airplane, they always tell you, in case of a water landing, this is what we're going to do. And you need to have that same idea. So the tech sector is still very hot. The data just proves this. This, according to ZipRecruiter survey, my friends at ZipRecruiter, nearly 4 in 10 previously laid off tech workers found a job less than a month after they began searching. So you now have got 40% of laid off tech workers found a job in less than a month. That's fantastic. Julia Pollack, who's been on the show multiple times, she's the chief economist at ZipRecruiter, said, despite the widespread layoffs, hiring freezes, and cost-cutting taking place in tech, many tech workers are finding reemployment remarkably quickly. They're still the most sought-after workers with the most in-demand skills. All right. This is why I partner with BethelTech.net. Let's throw that website up on the screen because I want our audience, if you're interested in just kicking the tires and talking to a really good school, BethelTech.net/Ken Coleman, that's going to get you $1,000 to $2,500 off tuition if you decide to go with them. They've got a 9-month program at around $15,000. They have a really high placement rate. Our listeners and viewers are engaging all the time, taking classes, graduating, and getting great jobs in tech and making $75,000 or more, some with a track to $100,000 or more very quickly. Now, it's not an advertisement. I'm telling you, this is a real opportunity. In 9 months and $15,000. Kick the tires, tell them I sent you. Now, let's talk about the current economy and what the job market is doing to our economy. New article here. U.S. companies are offering record high raises to keep people. And this is further putting pressure on inflation. Wages for employees who remained in the same job climbed 5.5% in November from the previous November. This from the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta. That's an increase from 3.7% in January 2022, and the highest increase since the bank began tracking wage data 25 years ago. Workers who switched jobs saw even bigger gains, an average of 7.7%, also according to the Atlanta Fed. So, companies are worried. Leaders are worried. They're seeing the Great Resignation. They've been affected by it. They've been stung by it. And so in annual reviews, or maybe they're just coming to people going, hey, I appreciate your loyalty. I want to give you a bump. Now, I'm all for that. But I remember, Alex, I'm going back to I can't remember how old I was. But I remember the first time I had a teacher in school kind of really explain the concept of cause and effect. And, I remember the first time I grasped it, I was like, wow, man, that's heavy. I lived in Virginia Beach, so we were always in the water, so I thought I was a surfer, so I probably said it like that. But I remember going, it's pretty heavy stuff. And we all understand cause and effect. But I think sometimes we forget about it, and this is an example. And there's just an interesting natural tension here. So I'm just going to give you some non-political perspective on inflation, okay? There are multiple things that can cause inflation, right? Supply chain issues, which is a supply-demand issue. So demand goes up, supply is low, and it just is what it is. We see this with gasoline. We see this with household goods, groceries. Okay, that's a major factor. And the pandemic did cause that. Okay. Same thing with houses. If you have a glut of houses available, but not a lot of buyers, what happens? House owners who want to sell lower their price to try to attract people. But when there are very few houses and a lot of buyers, what happens? Skyrockets. All right, we all understand that. That's cause and effect. But what we don't seem to understand, or at least we just intuitively try to drown it out, is that when we see hourly wages go up and spike, when we see salary increases spike, the effect is companies are trying to offset their increased expenses. Now, I am a capitalist, and I think companies should be able to decide what they want, when they want, how they want, and the ultimate arbiters of those decisions, the ultimate jury, are the customers. So I'm all for a company doing whatever they want. The customer gets to decide. I leave it alone. I love freedom and liberty. So I'm not going to say that companies need to completely eat the added expense of salaries and hourly wages going up. However, it's the cost of doing business. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be really honest with you, and this is not a blanket statement because I'm sure there are companies that don't do this. But the fact of the matter is most companies' default reaction and execution on having to raise wages is to raise costs. So if a fast food company used to sell you a combo for $4.50, and if they're paying $2 and $3 more an hour, they're gonna hike it. And I'm sure those of you that are, eating at restaurants on a regular basis, it's through the roof. I about had a heart attack the other day, Alex. Just took all 5 of my family out for pizza, man. I didn't take them to a 5-star. And full disclosure, Stacy usually signs the bill. It's just our deal. I do other things. I make it. We have a conversation about how we spend it. I don't normally look at things like that. I signed the bill this time. I about had a heart attack. Yeah, told the family, we're limiting how much we're eating out. This is nuts. It's getting ridiculous. I didn't just come up with that conclusion last week, but that's what it's been for all of us, and that's inflation. Current job or stay put, you're not alone. That's why we created the Should I Quit My Job quiz. In just 5 minutes or less, this quiz will help you determine if you're at the right company and if you're in the right role. If you need to make a move, you'll even get practical next steps to keep you moving forward. Listen, stuck is a choice, and life is too short not to do what you were created to do. To take the quiz, go to kencoleman.com/quiz. helping you see your potential and reach your potential. I'm Ken, man of the people, because I care about you. You were created to fill a unique role. You are needed. You must do it. So I'm here to help you do it and do it well. Okay, so this is interesting. This falls under the category of, boy, we all need to learn a lesson from this situation. So we got another viral story here. A job applicant went on the anti-work Reddit, subreddit, whatever this nonsense is. But it's basically, it's an online water cooler where people go and vetch about bad things. And there are a lot of bad things, and this is one of them. So what this is, what you're about to see is a job applicant had set up an interview for 2 p.m. on a certain day. The prospective employer called me at 3 when I was unavailable, rescheduled the interview for 2 p.m. the next day, and still did not call me at the scheduled time. So what we're going to do is, and I'm going to read this for our listening audience. We're going to throw this up on the screen here for our viewing audience. So this is the text, okay? And let's pick it up here with, hey, it's past 2 p.m. So this is the employee, prospective employee. Hey, it's past 2 p.m. And unfortunately, I have other calls going today, so I can't be waiting for your call again today. Thank you for the opportunity and communication, but I'm no longer interested in this position. All right. Now, I'm going to pause here before we get into the rest of it, because this onion begins to unpeel. Okay. Anybody see anything problematic with that text? Now, understand, this is the second time that this person has scheduled a call for an interview, and the prospective employer didn't call and is now reaching out. So twice, and he's got work to do. I'd be frustrated. Would you be frustrated, Alex? You're a very patient guy. You'd be frustrated, I'd be frustrated. But here's where I think this goes wrong. Right here. Unfortunately, I have other calls going today, so I can't be waiting for your call again today. Now, I understand that he's frustrated, but understand, folks, you don't want to burn a bridge with anybody. Bowing out. I understand he's bowing out. These are warning signs. I don't know if I want to work for somebody like this. If I can't count on them in the interview process, how in the world am I going to count on them when I'm working for them? 100% there. But this was slightly passive-aggressive is all I want to say. And let me just tell you, we live in a world right now that's jacked up and tired and stressed out and burned out and anxiety-laden and keyboard warriors. The nerve, the veracity, the audacity, the rudeness, the buffoonery, the bullying that happens via keyboard in a form of an email, a chat, or a text is off the charts. And I've talked about this. People are real brave behind a screen. Uh-oh. So that passive-aggressive comment can trigger somebody. Well, it did. Here's the reply. We'll throw it back on the screen. The potential employer says, "Can we talk now?" Again, I'm so sorry. It's going well right there. With full respect, I have no intention of blowing off the meeting or disrespecting your time. Well, you have disrespected his time twice. It is very unusual for me to not call someone back when they've agreed to prompt me with a text. Great. I'm glad it's unusual, but why are we talking about this? Just apologize. You did disrespect their time. However, Mondays in our business are extremely intense, and these are the most intense weeks of the year right before Christmas. Oh, boy. Now we're getting into over-explaining. If this is a man, we would call this mansplaining. Whatever that means. I've never understood that. It's just a man over-explaining. Isn't that what mansplaining is? All right, so here we go. Now it gets ugly, and it's just boiling. Now, here it comes. You ever boiled pasta too long? It just kind of, you should have pulled the lid off, and then you go, oh, crap, and it's just the water spilling all over the burner, and it's shorting out. That's what's happening right here. Am I the only one that's done that? Yeah. Did that over the holidays, Joe. And the daggum gas stove is going because, the water's pouring out because I had the lid on. Yeah, okay. That's what's happening right here. I wanted to create a visual. Here it goes. I'm sorry that I'm not measuring up to your standards. Oh, I make myself available for staff from 8 a.m. till 11 p.m. daily. Not fitting into your box for a brief quality conversation is regrettable to me. No, it's not. You're not regretting anything because I think something's great could have happened. But I do respect your judgment to close the door on us because I've missed the time frame. I hope and pray. Oh, my gosh. There's no hoping or praying going on here. That you never miss anyone's time frame and never disappoint anyone for the rest of your professional career as well. And then this is my favorite. As if that's not enough. The guilt trip. Here it is. I also do not wish to meet with you. You know what this is? This is the equivalent of a third grader on the playground breaking up with his girlfriend. And he goes, I'm going to break up with you. And she goes, no, I'm breaking up with you. That's how ridiculously immature this is. So there you go. As you said in your message, you're available after 2. Your message does not say you're only available at 2. It says you're available after 2. Please note the misleading message. My error. Not calling you at 2 p.m. as I stated and as I intended. My responsibility. Apologize. And ask for another chance to call 22 minutes later? Your response? Nope. Congratulations. You win. I didn't know we were competing. I had no idea. Did anybody think there was a competition going on? Just said, I can't do the call. And I've changed my mind. I don't want to work for you. Please, no additional correction. We were talking about having a phone chat, not an interview. And then this person just goes, please do not contact me any further. You're scaring me. All right. Now, I had some fun with that. And let's step back from this for a second and go, what really is going on here? Okay. You have a person that is either fried and stressed out and got triggered, or a person who's very insecure and got triggered. Because all of that online text diatribe was trying to justify their actions. There was no real apology there. There was no attempt to really resurrect the situation. You can't say, this is not coming from a place of, man, I'm angry because I really wanted to hire this person, or man, I'm perturbed, I'm frustrated because I need to fill this position and this person is being unreasonable. I don't think it's any of that. I think it is they felt rejected and it became very personal. And yet it was a professional situation. You said you were going to call twice. You didn't do it. They can't do it in your window now. And more importantly, they've decided to pull themselves from the job. It's a professional communication. Be professional back. So if you get, and by the way, this happens to all of us, me included, when a professional statement or a professional decision feels personal. Now, this is the lesson. You got to step back from it. And it's happened to me many times. You got to step back from it and go, wait a second, this is professional. It's a professional decision, professional statement, so I got to be professional. Because when we get personal, whoa, we blow stuff up, and that's not good. Should have just said, okay, I understand. Have a nice life.
If the thought of attending a networking event makes you break out in hives, You're not alone. And I'll let you in on a secret. Networking in the traditional sense doesn't work, but genuine connection is all about relationships. That's why we created Networking the Right Way. This free guide is the low-pressure, high-impact way to overcome the awkwardness, build real relationships, and turn your connections into opportunities. To get the guide, go to kencoleman.com/network.
Helping you see and achieve your full potential. What is your full potential? You know what it is? And then how do you make it happen? And that's really at the core of everything we do here on the show. Thrilled to have you with us, and it's time for our coaching session. I want to point out to you that we'll be happy to answer your questions in a multitude of ways. If you don't want to call in, that's fine. You can email ask@kencoleman.com. You can send me a DM on Instagram. You can send me a video message to ask@kencoleman.com, and we'll put that in the docket. 844-747-2577 is the number to call in if you want to be on the show. 844-747-2577. If you don't get anybody live, leave a voicemail. We'll get back to you. David has done all of that, and here he sits in Chicago area. David, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken. Thanks.
You bet. David, what's going on?
So my question for you today is, how it came up is my wife started asking me, basically, if I plan on starting. So, okay, just to start over, to start from the scratch.
Yeah, you take your time.
I'm doing an online degree.
Okay.
And basically, she was wondering if I plan on doing 2 years in that degree and then go to a in-person college, or do I plan on doing the 4 years? And I thought that I made it clear that I was planning on doing the 4 years, but her concern was she has an opinion that online degrees aren't as taken as seriously as in-person degrees.
Yeah, you got to be careful with this because this is your wife, right?
Right.
Got to be careful how we word this. But I don't believe she has any evidence of that. In fact, I know she doesn't. And it's kind of like, I'd ask her, hey, I never thought of it that way. Have you seen something? Like, is there some data about that? If we can tiptoe around because I want to challenge her belief, because her belief is wrong. The bottom line is, and you know what you could do? I just realized this is on YouTube. Just have her watch this answer. Nobody cares where you got your degree. Nobody. An example of that I give all the time is the last time you went to the doctor, or maybe you did your taxes with a local accountant. Think of somebody that you go to for very important services. Yes?
Yes.
You never ask them where they went to school, do you, before you hire them?
No.
Why?
Because that's not my concern.
Why isn't your concern? Well, quite frankly, why isn't it any of it? I don't do it either. Why don't I do it? Why don't we care? Why do we just accept that the doctor's been trained?
Because they have, really you're just concerned with whether or not they can do it.
You almost said it and you stopped yourself. The answer is, it was right on the tip of your tongue. They have credibility. And the reason they have credibility is because they have lots of patients. They're not in jail for malpractice. They have happy people walking out of the waiting room. Trusting people, right? So the point is does the degree get you the qualification you need? And if the answer is yes, it doesn't matter where you're getting it. I'll give you another example, BethelTech.net. Okay? They've been a longtime partner of this show. They're going to be sponsoring some fun stuff we're doing this year, which I'm going to hopefully announce very soon. Bethel Tech is an online technology school out in Redding, California. Okay? 9-month program, $15,000, and they are one of the go-to schools for Silicon Valley. Because Silicon Valley has recognized Bethel Tech as a great school that gets people ready technically, but also works with tech workers on their social skills, leadership skills. There's a faith-based component that they like that's character-based. And so they're hiring them like crazy. But it's a school out in Redding, California, and online. It's not Harvard or MIT. Why? Because Silicon Valley doesn't care where the tech worker went to school. They care about, can the tech worker do the job? So I've pretty much answered the question. Your wife, just have her watch this clip. It's about 30 minutes into the show. Fast forward to that point and let her watch my answer. She cares about you, but there's no evidence to back up what she's saying. And, you may not even need the degree anyway. So you just stay online because it's been determined by you. And I think with a lot of wisdom, and you fought through it, that online's the best way to go. And nobody cares if you got it online or if you got it in person at all. By the way, all the Ivy League schools went to online during the COVID pandemic.
According to Glassdoor, the average job offer attracts over 250 applicants. If you've made it to the interview, you've already made a great impression. So now is the time to showcase how you are the best choice for the role. That's why we created How to Win the Interview. This free guide will walk you through the 5 strategies to help you stand out amongst the competition. With just some intentionality, you can prepare yourself to win the interview. Go to kencoleman.com/interview.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Ken Coleman Show, where we are focused on one thing and one thing only. I want you to see your potential, and I want you to seize it, maximize it, and we're specifically looking at that potential in your work life because it has all kinds of personal implications, financial implications as well. And if this show is helping you in any way, you are the number one marketing strategy in the world. I don't care what my team comes up with. It's never going to be more important, more effective than you who engage, who digest the show, telling people, hey, you should listen to this. So if you're on YouTube, would you give us a like and subscribe? Subscribe to the show. That matters. YouTube has got an algorithm, and they just spread it all over the place. And if you're listening via podcast, give us a review. That stuff matters. And subscribe to that as well and tell people about it because it's easy to mention this type of content in natural conversation because we're all working and we're all wanting to have a better life. So thank you. Let's go to my old stomping grounds. I went to high school in the Virginia Beach, Virginia area. Monica is there. Monica, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, Monica. Where in the Virginia Beach area are you?
I'm located in the near Princess Anne area.
Yes, my dad went to high school there. How fun. So that's
Yes.
I love the Princess Anne area. Well, how can I help you today?
Well, I'm calling in to get some advice on how to find a career for someone who still can't find what they want to do. I've been in nursing for over 24 years, and I've taken countless assessments. I've even taken the Get Clear assessment 3 times, but I still can't pinpoint exactly what it is that I'd like to do.
Well, now we know what's going on. You took my assessment, the Get Clear assessment, 3 times.
Yes,
Methinks you think too much.
I agree.
Well, that's great news because I thought, well, this call is going to go one of 2 directions. Either she finally acknowledges I'm overanalyzing and I need help, or we're gonna have a hard time figuring this out. So, what I want to know is, by any chance, do you have your Get Clear results, assessment results from the first time you took it?
Yes, I do.
All right, that's what I want to go over. All right. And let me just set this up very briefly. We have new people coming all the time. Here's what the Get Clear Career Assessment does. It measures your talent, what you do best. It measures your passion, the type of work that you really love. And it measures your mission, in other words, what motivates you. Okay? And we put it together in a purpose statement, which is really a high-level description of a dream job for you. And you got your purpose statement with those results filled in for you, and then you started thinking and thinking and thinking, and you went, well, that's not what I thought it was going to be. Or you overanalyzed your answers the first time, and the statement didn't match up with you. So we're going to figure out which one it is. It's one of those two. So read me your first purpose statement results slowly.
Okay. For talents, I have execution, discernment, and imagination. With my passion in research, creating, and analyzing, with my mission statement in creation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And why did you take it a second time after you saw those results? Be honest.
Because I think the first time, I think I was thinking too much, and I thought, okay, I just need to relax and try and go with my gut feeling.
Okay. But what was off in that particular purpose statement? What part was off? Was it multiple parts?
It was mostly, when I took it again, it was mostly centering around logic. And I didn't feel that was a good fit.
No, you didn't answer, Mike, because you already went to the second time. I'm saying the first time, the results you just shared, what was off to where you went, I think I was overthinking because I know I'm an overthinker, and this doesn't feel like me. Which part didn't feel like you in the first results?
The execution and the research part.
Okay. But the discernment and imagination, the creation and analyzing, and then the results of creation, like creating and then creation, that all felt right.
Correct, yes.
And so you took it a second time and logic popped up on the talent side, and that didn't feel right on the second time.
Correct.
But what came out on the talent on the second time?
What came out on the talents was I got logic, and then I still got the discernment, and then I got communication.
Right, which is, again, you're taking it multiple times, and so, you know, when you do this, you're trying to game it. But the same talent that popped out in imagination certainly could, and taking it a second time, could lead to communication coming out. So did you agree with the motivating factor of creation? That's what really motivates you. Those are the results you care most about?
Yes.
See, that to me, so that's where you didn't think. You let your heart engage the first time because that was spot on. So you have to understand that there is something in you from your past, something in your present that is making you overthink. In other words, you aren't trusting your own heart. Does that statement resonate with you? Do you believe that about yourself, that you don't trust your own heart?
Very much so.
What's behind that? What do you think is the cause of that? That you don't trust your heart. I feel this, but then I start thinking about it. Is that really true? Why do I feel this way? Should I feel this way? What's making you not trust your heart?
I think it's fear.
Yeah, but what's the driver of that fear? Is it fear of rejection? Is it fear of failure? Is it fear of what other people are going to say? Fear of peers? What is it?
Fear of failure.
Okay. I think it's more than that. I'm not saying that you're not right about the failure piece, but I think that a driving factor behind anybody that overanalyzes something is the fear of peers. I call that the fear of peers, but we could throw family into that. What are my friends and family going to say? I think that's a driving factor. And I think fear of rejection is also there. Like, ooh, this will sting if I try to go do this and it doesn't pay off. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we need to understand that because that fear is not allowing you to think clearly. Fear is like a fog. It's like getting in a car and we run into big time fog. We can't see past the hood of our car. What do? We slow down, we pull over, can't go anywhere. And that's you. And I think the reality is that that we saw in your assessment results, discernment, imagination, communication, the analyzing part of your brain can be used for good, but not with research. I see a marriage between discernment, which is a talent, and analyzing, which is a passion. And I think the creation part is you're all about creatively solving things. So here's the question. Would you rather do work with people, processes, ideas, or things? Pick one, don't think, go.
Ideas.
Yes! That's where the imagination comes in. You love ideas. You have a million ideas every day, don't you?
Yes.
Yes! But you don't allow those ideas to go beyond anything because you're so freaking worried that somebody's not going to like your idea. Am I stepping all over your toes?
That's spot on.
Oh, it's like I've done this a time or two. So, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take your initial assessment results and only focus on the motivational side. I want to create. I want to create ideas. I want to be a part in the creation of ideas. And I know that I've got discernment off the charts. And so I need to be in a space where I'm not just creating ideas, but I'm in the selection of ideas. So your next step, I want you to call me back in about 3 months. But I want you to start to look at jobs that would match up with your true purpose statement. And stop thinking and start feeling.
Thanks for listening to The Ken Coleman Show. For more, you can find the show on demand wherever you listen to podcasts and watch the show on YouTube. You can also find Ken across all social media by following @Ken Coleman.